Kind of Austin, I obviously own Fuse Fitness Coaching. Austin runs our youth performance, so we're gonna talk about a little bit about this kind of like the applied part. And I was gonna have Austin, when he can, kind of speak to how we apply a lot of the sports nutrition stuff with our athletes. I think we were just talking before this, between having kids come up to the gym that we work at, having us come here, and then the other places we go, we think we reach about 250 to 300 kids a week that we're coaching on an ongoing basis across pretty much any sport you can manage. We're touching that sport in some way with those kids. Before we kind of get into it, guys, I always try to make these. I recognize a lot of you guys. Some of I know I've known Kathy forever, and some of you guys recognize from other rooms. Actually, Bob and I were talking about this when I first started coming out and doing these talks. My kids were like 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, and they're both teenagers now, and I have a daughter, so we've been at this for a while. I always try to make these, when we do these kind of informational talks, try to make it as applicable to what you guys might be working on. So I did go more on the youth side and how we talk to our athletes about nutrition. But I know like you're still running, so we talk about kind of some of your guys' individual goals, and I always try and answer questions about even things that you might be working on, so I'm not opposed to doing that. Before we go on, I'm assuming you guys coach, some of you guys coach, a lot of you coach. What sports do you guys coach? Basketball, awesome, so you both do that too. Tennis, okay.
Football,
Correct answer is football, yes. No sports, anybody else coach? Football, baseball?
basketball,
Awesome.
track.
Basketball and track, awesome, cool. Also, I actually run a lot of the strength, speed, and agility for 2 different high school feeder programs for youth side of things. So basketball, Austin played soccer in college, so not like a real sport, but he did play in a recreational activity, and I remind him that all the time. So my background, guys, I also coach baseball. I work with the high school program all the way down to 9, 8-year-olds, basketball, and then also a football coach as well, and help with the strength and conditioning program for the Armstrong High School program. So we're gonna talk about kind of how we talk nutrition, guys, and honestly the age of the kids will make a big difference on here. Kind of give you a quick background, kind of who I am, who we are. I actually opened up Fuse Fitness Coaching in 2016. I've been training for about 14 years now. With our adult clients, which is, it actually started out almost all adult clients. We've moved a lot more to youth training, but focuses on building, not necessarily fat, is on fat loss and building lean muscle, not necessarily weight loss. And then with youth, we tried getting introduced to speed, agility, power, strength, and endurance. We do some testing. I'm gonna kind of explain how that works because it applies back to the nutrition thing. And then we do some sports team training. And that's it for today. So any questions? Easy. So we run a program we call Sparks Youth Performance, and that starts at 9. That's where a lot of kids were first getting introduced to us in terms of some of the programs. Just teach some of the basics. These were the 2019 results. We just had a couple of different markers on here. We had a 313% increase across the board on their chin-up strength. We had a 164% increase in push-ups and a 20% increase in speed and agility. We have multiple markers, probably football players, you guys remember the 3-cone drill, 5-10-5, we run those same drills. We do some speed ladder stuff as well. Basketball, you guys probably do some of that stuff as well for agility. We actually are partnered with the high school here. We train volleyball. We have a lot of volleyball players, probably over 100. We trained the team that won the state tournament 2 years ago, worked with us for 8 weeks. That program is a little unique in that instead of just testing broad spectrum, we worked with the coach to identify areas that he was interested in seeing his athletes improve on. So he came up with, he knew they needed to work on their upper body strength. He wanted to see better lateral quickness. And then obviously volleyball players, basketball players, we do vertical jump testing. I'm sure just like you would imagine working on vertical. In 8 weeks, these were the results. So 172% increase in push-ups, 43% increase in speed and agility, and 10% increase in vertical jump. The thing to keep in mind when we're working with a lot of these athletes that you can't get the improvement if you don't work with the total athlete. So part of that is, yes, it's technique, like how do you jump? It can be taught, you're born with what you got, but you can maximize that with proper training. We also do a lot of mobility work with the kids and teaching them how to foam roll. It's a big piece of what we do, but I would say even a bigger piece of that is the nutrition piece. If you can get athletes that kind of start to see themselves as maybe a little bit different than the average population, they'll start to fuel their body differently, and that's where those results come from. So I'd love to tell you, like, yep, we have a magic way of teaching that we can increase your vertical by 10% in 3 weeks. We don't, but we encompass the entire thing, nutrition, the exercise piece, the mobility piece, that's where we see these really big increases in performance. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit kind of how we coach it and then how we apply it, and Austin can talk a little bit about that too, but I have a list of things like what to say, what not to say, and kind of the mindset behind sports nutrition. There is a big difference between weight loss, body composition versus sports performance, which is where most of our kids fall within, all of our kids fall within. I always break down nutrition, and if you guys have ever heard me talk, a lot of you, I've seen you multiple times, I break nutrition down in kind of 12 different areas of priority, and I always do 12, there's more, but I try and break it into something that I think will touch everybody that they connect with, so that when we walk away, we're walking with one thing even you guys can do differently now with either your athletes, maybe some of you have kids, or yourself to maximize your success. 85, 35, 10 rule of coaching. I always use baseball as an example because I've coached baseball going on forever. I've over 15 years of coaching out from 5-year-olds all the way up into the high school level. And I have an 85, 35 rule of coaching. And that rule basically stems from this. In hitting, I use hitting as an example. There is probably 5 or 6 things that each kid can do differently to be better at hitting a baseball. If I were to throw all 6 of those things at that kid, his head would explode. I can literally see smoke coming out of their ears when you start talking. So the 85-35 rule of 10 coaching applies to every aspect of coaching, including nutrition. If I give kids 3 things to work on at one time, the chances of them being successful is about 10%. If I give them 2 things to work on at a time, the chances of them being successful is 35%. And the chance of being successful if I give them 1 thing to work on and master is 85%. And it doesn't matter if that's a 10-year-old or a 45-year-old woman. That rule has stood with me and all of our coaches for a long time because it works. So as you're starting to kind of think through some of this stuff, if you guys want to start applying this to yourselves or your kids or your athletes, I would tell you to remember this rule because we're going over a lot of stuff and it's easy to try and focus on everything, and that generally doesn't work. So what to say to kids or anybody that's going to be talking about nutrition. So foods are not healthy or unhealthy. Foods can be nutritious, and if you eat a lot of different nutritious foods, it can help you feel good and be healthy. You guys understand the difference? So foods aren't bad or good, they're just some more nourishing than others, and it'll make you feel better and perform better than others. All right? Broccoli, we all agree, yes, broccoli is considered healthy, yes? Anybody disagree with me? Maybe you don't like broccoli, but we all agree it's healthy? Okay, if you only ate broccoli, and that was the only thing you ever ate, you would not be healthy. Does that make sense? It's a philosophical difference. I know it's not a big difference, but it is. Because there's no good or bad foods, right? Pizza is delicious. Do we all agree? Yeah. If you don't agree with me, you're wrong. So, pizza's delicious, okay? But there's probably a time and place as an athlete to eat pizza. I probably don't want to eat it in between games, like basketball tournaments, right? Is that going to make me feel better going to the second game about a 2-game tournament on Saturday? Nope. So we want to talk to kids about feeling good is what we're trying to get out with that. So healthy mindset. Food is fuel for your body and brain. Need to power your day or performance. So we talk a lot about with our kids, how do you want to feel going into game day? Another one, really important, healthy bodies comes in all shapes and sizes. Okay? Not any 2 people are the same, doesn't mean they're healthy or unhealthy. When you eat, listen to your body. That's really important. That's probably more important than any of the 12 rules we're going to go over, but you'll notice I have an asterisk there, and I want to come back to that because it's harder than you think it is. I want to explain why. Know your audience. So talking to a 10-year-old is different than talking to an 18-year-old college-bound athlete or talking to an older adult. This is my thing. Athletes should not be on a diet. A diet is not a verb. A diet is a noun. It's something they just do every day because they want to feel good. So the athletes should never be on a diet. The diet just encompasses everything they do on a day-to-day basis. Does that make sense? I would kind of use that rule with a lot of my clients. Like, what do you think of this diet? I'm like, just eat normal, like eat just food, you know? So again, I'm a big believer in diet as a noun versus a verb. The other big thing is across kind of all the board for us as well. It's a paradigm shift that goal setting is based on behaviors and not necessarily results, although results are important because they allow you to set smart and effective goals, okay? So, for example, if you came in and told me, I'm just using this for you personally, I want to lose 5 pounds. Okay, that's a result, that's not a goal. Goals would be things like, I would like to lose 5 pounds, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up and work out 4 days a week. That's a goal. Things that you can measure. So everything we talk about in terms of goals, they're always behavior-based. So anytime we're working with athletes or older adults, Goal setting is based on behaviors, not the end outcome, and that the scale doesn't always tell the whole story, especially with athletes. Athletes are looking to gain muscle, and that's not, the scale's not going to tell them whether or not they're gaining muscle or not. Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of talking fast. I do that sometimes. All right, so changing habits is hard. A lot of people think success looks like a straight line. In reality, success more looks like that. And that doesn't matter if you're coaching kids, teenagers, adults. There's going to be ups and downs throughout the way. All right, so one of the questions, so Austin and I will go out and we work with, like I said, it's like 250 kids throughout the week. So it's a wide range. We have a lot of like individual athletes that come in and do small group training with us. We also train sports teams. And then him and I will actually go out and we will run clinics and camps for other kids. I know you've been ill this weekend or next weekend? Next weekend he's out at Benil talking to the soccer team. I'll go out, I know, I've been here, I don't know, I'm at Jackson Middle School next week talking to some of their kids. We're out a lot in the community. And the thing I always kind of reference I put for kids is, would you put regular gasoline in a rocket? You shake your head no. What kind of fuel would you put in a rocket? Rocket fuel, yeah. Okay, so here's the example I always give the kids. So 25 years ago, I used to be a rocket, like really good athlete. Now I'm like just a nice sports car, I tell them, right? So as a nice sports car, I still want to put like good fuel in my car, but I probably don't fuel my body the way I had to when I was, let's say, playing in high school or looking to try and play in college. So that changed over time. As an athlete, you gotta decide, you're gonna have friends around you that are cars, and they might be really nice cars, but they don't share the same values and goals you do. As a rocket, if you have aspirations to play at high school, and it's competitive, like, I mean, I'm 42. Like, I played 3 sports in high school. That like, doesn't happen anymore, and the bigger the school is, the more competitive it is. And looking to get an advantage, nutrition can be a big advantage for you. I always use like gymnastics as an example. So I think in gymnastics I started doing a lot of gymnasts, training a lot of them 10 years ago. I had 2 gals that made the Olympic team, and then I think 4 or 5, 2 at University of Denver, 2 at Oklahoma, 1 at Northern Illinois. So a lot of gymnasts that have gone on to get scholarships. I think last year we had 17 kids get Division 1 or 2 scholarships out of our gym. And what I tell people is like the gymnastics thing is a great example. Is anybody else familiar with gymnastics, either coached it or with kids that do it? Like the winner, like literally is 10th of a point different than the 10th place person, right? First place person gets college offers. 10th place person, like, oh, that's nice. Like the top 10, good job. Get a high five, right, from your coach. So it's little things that matter. The one little thing that can matter is how you feel your body that day. Does that make sense? So when we talk to athletes, we're talking about putting rocket fuel in their body, even if their friends necessarily don't, that they have to kind of look at themselves different if they have aspirations to play at a higher level. And there's nothing wrong with playing sports for fun. And we have lots of kids that come train with us that just, they do it for fun, that's awesome. But there are some kids who really do have aspirations to play at a really high level. And I think that's where the nutrition piece can separate them out from somebody else who's also very athletic. All right, so hydration. So when Austin and I are working with kids, we highlight, there's actually 5 areas that we kind of focus on with the kids. I've got 12 areas, so I'm gonna go into more depth, but I want to kind of talk through some of the things, and water is one of them. And we start always with water because, and this is something you guys might want to like write, this might be one of the ones you write down. There are all kinds of studies, and you can look these up, and I looked up anywhere that a 1% level of dehydration is equal to a 2 to 4% drop in power. So then again, 1% level of dehydration is equal to a 2 to 4% drop in power. Is power important in sports? Now, I can't even think of a sport that power isn't important, right? So when it comes to hydration, that's why we always start athletes. And you want to talk a little bit kind of how we do that with the kids?
Sure. I don't know if the mic's going to pick me up, but when we do our youth training, we have it kind of sectioned off in like 10-week programs. I can walk this.
Nope, you're good.
Alright. So we section off in 10-week programs, and like Matt said, we have 5 kind of areas that we target. Obviously, the first one being water. Just based on experience, I'm a little bit younger. Just so everyone knows, Matt is my older cousin. I always like pointing out that he's way older. But just being, kind of recently through school, I know I never drank enough water. It's just not. It's not possible. You don't always carry a water bottle around, stuff like that. So with the kids, what we're really trying to instill is like, you know, you should try to get to that half your body weight analysis. It doesn't always happen, but as long as they're thinking about it, you know, we give them different ways. You take a water bottle and you put hair binders on it and you pull one off every time you fill it up. So I know every time we come into the gym, it's kind of funny to see up on our windowsill, all the kids sitting there with little like rubber bands or hair binders because they know as you go you take it off. And it's one of the fun things. Usually we give out prizes when kids do the challenges. This is usually the biggest pool of kids that complete it. And then as they go down, they kind of taper off.
And we do it even when we go on talk. So we train the basketball team and we do like fun challenges like this with them, but during get them to drink half their body weight of water, which is what they're supposed to do. And then we make it where they're accountable for it. So there's three options when they do a challenge with us. Their parents are not responsible for tracking it. Their coach is not responsible for tracking it. It's an individual challenge and it's honor-based. So we talk to kids about what does honor mean. Honor means like it's on your honor that you did it or you didn't do it. So there's three options. And by the way, if you came and train with me, these are three options for you as well. There's three options when I say did you drink enough water. They are yes, no, I don't know. What do you think I don't know in our world is?
No.
It's a no. So the kids all know that, and we really try to instill and make, you know, again, a lot of this with the kids is trying to make educational, but if you want to run something that is going to have the biggest impact on your athletes, this is literally it. It will be faster, stronger, and they're going to test a lot better by just drinking more water. And you're going to look like a genius, right? Just by getting your athletes running a little fun little challenge, who can drink the most water, right? Kids love being recognized too, so we always do it when they do it. We recognize it in front of the whole entire room, everybody claps. We try to recognize the kids for doing that thing. So breakfast and meal frequency. The hardest part with athletes is, and in grown adults too, is that there is a certain amount of calories, bless you, that athletes need. Okay, and athletes typically need more calories than an average non-athlete would need, and most adults also, like when their goal is to lose weight, tend to undereat a little bit. So with the kids, what we're trying to get them to do is to have stable blood sugars, fuel their bodies so they have energy. When they skip breakfast, that doesn't happen. So our second challenge with the kids is literally trying to eat a complete breakfast. And here's how we do that. So obviously a complete breakfast, we'll go more in depth, would be a protein, a healthy fat, and a healthy carbohydrate. We don't tell kids what to eat, okay? Because you'll have kids that don't eat breakfast, that just start eating breakfast as their main thing. That is awesome. Just getting to eat breakfast is a win for that kid, and that's awesome, okay? Some kids are already eating breakfast, but they're eating, say, Cocoa Puffs, and we're going to try and get them to incorporate a protein in there. So we never dictate what to eat. We tell them complete protein, and here's some of the rules: protein, a healthy fat, and so try and incorporate fruits or vegetables into that. Okay, but getting your kids to eat breakfast will help them feel more energy throughout the day, less blood sugar drops, so that they're stable the entire day. That's a good rule for adults looking to lose weight too, by the way. No, wink, wink. Anybody's trying to cut body fat. Eat slowly. So if you guys remember on the board, I had a slide that said, listen to your body. Okay. The problem with that is sometimes that people are not always mindful when they're eating. I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, we had these things, they were called tables, and there were chairs around the tables, and we used to sit down and we would talk about our day. I'd be like, well, how was your day today? And then you would ask me, it was good, thanks for asking. And we would talk about that, right? We'd go around the table, and that just doesn't happen anymore. We're overscheduled. So sometimes listening to your body is difficult when you're not being mindful about eating. And the faster you sometimes eat, the more that affects your absorption. So as you look at athletes, and they're roughing on food as they're running around, that actually, they're getting the calories in, but they're eating so quickly that they're not actually absorbing their calories. And the same problem with a lot of our adult clients, right? They're not mindful what they're eating. They're eating so quickly that even though the food they're eating is good, they're not actually digesting the food they're eating. So some tricks would be to sit down and not try and multitask when you're eating, which I am terrible at, so I'm not telling you this is easy. The other thing I do sometimes is I can eat like an entire thing of food in 30 seconds because I gotta go up to my next thing. So I was training this morning, then I leave here and I go coach baseball for 2 hours, and I got another thing tonight that I'm doing, so like, it's just nonstop. So I started eating with my left hand, my non-dominant hand, to slow myself down. That's one trick I use, because I'm horrific at this, guys, like really, I don't know if that helps me by being honest, and like, I feel better to limb that from my chest, actually, so thank you. Eat slowly, right? So that takes, it's hard. The other thing too is trying to eat, remember we said eat to listen to your body. The other problem though too is foods are designed, especially processed foods, to not be satisfying. My spouse actually has worked in multiple companies, Kraft, General Mills, and she's out of Schwann's, and also Red Baron, Freshetta. She's a brand manager, so she's in charge of marketing dollars. They spend more money trying to figure out how to make foods less satisfying so that you will eat more of them than they do on the actual advertising you see on TV. Okay? Have you ever wondered why there's not a Ziploc or a closed bag on a bag of Doritos? They don't want you to close it. They want you to finish that bag so you go buy another bag. Right? So when you're eating processed food, sometimes it gets really difficult to know when you're full when the food you're eating is not satisfying. Okay? So one of the challenges we run with the kids, and this is the hardest one, so we run, all the challenges we run are typically like 10 days length, 2 weeks. Some of the longer ones, like the kids, we only see them once a week, like the basketball program. We do it like, okay, this month's challenge is water. We typically do a Whole Foods thing, we're gonna talk about this a little bit, but the Whole Foods one is, okay, everybody's gonna start by trying to eat real foods. Last person standing gets a cool prize, okay? That usually lasts 2 to 3 days if you have 50 kids. But within 3 days, none all of them have eaten processed food. So it's really, this is a really tough challenge, but a really fun one to make kids more aware of what they're eating. Eat more vegetables. So the biggest issue right now is, so the normal servings for kids is gonna be somewhere between 4 to 6 servings of vegetables. Anybody know what a serving is?
1 cup.
1 cup raw, 1/2 cup cooked, unless it's green leafy vegetables, then it'd go up to 2 cups. Okay, so adults is 7 to 9 servings. The average American gets less than 2 in a day. So we have a lot of kids that have never eaten, like don't eat vegetables, period. And I know school lunches aren't like super high in vegetables. But if you think in terms of like nutrients and vitamins, there are more nutrients and more vitamins in vegetables than any other food group. You cannot replace the nutrients you're not getting from vegetables, you cannot replace with anything else. I mean, you can do multivitamin, well, that's important, but you'll never get the same nutrients as actually eating vegetables. So we do run a challenge with the kids where we try and make them mindful of the amount of vegetables they're supposed to be eating. We actually reduce it down to 3 servings a day. So we get the kids to try and eat 3 servings of vegetables, and basically what it represents is trying to get 1 at lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Yes.
What do you do if your kids hate vegetables?
We do if the kids hate vegetables.
Hate.
Yeah.
Like, don't wanna touch it.
Yeah, so that's a tough one. So a couple things I always tell the kids, right? So we are not, when we say eat 3 servings of vegetables, the only thing we eliminate is corn and potatoes, because technically they're a starch, so we don't count that towards the challenge. What we tell them is they can literally pick any kind of vegetable. So like even carrots, we allow, I mean, if they want to eat carrots 3 times a day, then it's better than not eating any vegetables. A lot of kids don't like raw vegetables, but like I have one son that loves cooked broccoli, one son that hates cooked broccoli, he likes it raw, so we literally cook one for one and not the other. There are ways to mix vegetables into like shakes, so we do a lot of protein shakes, and I'll throw broccoli and kale in because they can't taste that it's in there. So kind of those kind of tricks, you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. Is that helpful at all? Like trying different kinds, like finding a kind they like. You know what, if they want to just eat carrots, again, that's not, it would be better if they ate different colors. But if they're willing to start there and give you 3 servings a day, I'd take it.
How many servings did you say kids?
We do 3 in our contest. Ideally, it should be 4 to 6 is what kids should be getting. In terms of volume of your diet, this is for you guys too, the biggest volume of your diet should be coming from vegetables. Like, in terms of like volume, right? So, it's a big one though, because we're gonna go into fiber in a second and what role fiber plays. It's hard to get enough fiber in your diet if you're not eating vegetables. That's one concern as well. So with kids, we literally, again, we're oversimplifying for a lot of our, the kids that we work with, but a lot of kids are going from eating 0 to 3, which is a huge improvement. And it's really cool when kids come up and, at the end of the day, they're like, hey coach, I ate 3 servings. I actually, getting kids to eat broccoli or vegetables for breakfast is that's, can you make me cook broccoli for breakfast? Sure, so, if you can get them to do it though, like just, again, a lot of this guys is just, you're getting them to start, especially at a younger age, just start thinking about the role nutrition plays in performance. So maybe you don't get them all the way there, and actually we can go back to the water thing, the half their body weight water is correct, except for you're supposed to add an additional 12 ounces of water for every hour of exercise. We don't even go there with the kids. It's, hey, your minimum is this, if you can do more, that's great, and yes, you can overdrink water. I've yet to see someone do that. I've read about it in stories, because it makes them use someone overdrinks too much water. But in reality, they should be drinking more, but if you can get them just with a half and be mindful about it, they're gonna notice too, like when you do a lot of these nutritional changes, how much better their bodies feel. Coach, I feel like I'm faster. You probably are, Like you're not dehydrated, that would actually make sense, right? So vegetable questions and all, that was a good one. That's definitely for sure. We're gonna go deep dive too, guys. Does anyone have any questions about themselves as we're going through this? I'm talking in terms of athletics, but if you have questions about your own diet, I'm happy to like hang out, or you can talk to me later, I guess. Protein. Oh, where we go? There we go. Protein. Protein is one of our challenges. So in terms of the role protein plays, it forms the basis for all of our cells. So your hair, your nails, your skin. As an athlete, most athletes, all athletes, should be looking to try and at least either maintain or build lean muscle. Okay. Protein helps with recovery. There's no two ways around it. There's different types of protein, but generally when we're talking to kids, we try and get the kids to get some kind of a protein into every meal. Okay, so whether it's a Greek yogurt or string cheese, tofu, protein shake, piece of chicken, some kind of a protein into every meal. That's with younger kids. With older athletes, so now we're sitting here talking about kids who have gone through puberty, starting to look to try and build muscle, and adults. Our general rule is to try and get all of our clients looking to build or maintain muscle to try and eat 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. Okay, so I'll use you as an example. You look pretty lean, so like let's just say you were 200 pounds and you're 10% body fat. He would need to take in 180 grams of protein a day. Does that make sense? So now you can go up to 1 gram per pound, which is like a lot of bodybuilders do that. It's not gonna be detrimental. You can overdo protein. We're talking about why in a second here. And it does not always have to be, because like right now there's a lot of people doing more to the vegan side. You can do this as a vegan, a vegetarian. We have clients that do that. You just gotta get a lot more creative. When we're talking about meat-based proteins have all 9 branched chain amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. You have to have 9. Your body can't produce those, so you have to get them in your diet. Okay. However, like let's say rice, for example, has 4, and beans have the other 5. You can combine the 2 to make it a complete protein. Does that make sense? So if they're a vegetarian or vegan-based clients, we do a lot more on the education side of things, because you have to like make different combinations. Nuts do not have all 9 branched amino acids, so they're not a protein. But if you mix it with certain kinds of seeds, then they would be. So you have to be careful how you mix your foods to get to a complete protein. Does that make sense? I know that that's too much information, I don't know. Any vegetarians in here? No, we all like bacon? Yes. Awesome.
I have a question though.
Is it about bacon?
Not about bacon,
Oh,
I do
okay.
like bacon.
I love bacon.
But, what if your lean body mass is not what you want it to be? Do you
Ooh.
eat enough protein for what you want it to be, or for what?
That's an awesome question. Yes, yes, you would. So here's the thing you guys gotta remember. So as your lean body mass goes up, you get stronger, and the higher your lean body mass is, the faster your metabolism is. So that means you burn more calories doing nothing. Like right now, if we were all like 5% body fat, we would just be fat burning machines. We're all roughly about 5% right now, give or take. So, but you're 3. So some of us are less. Yeah.
Left, yeah.
So the leaner you are, the faster metabolism is, which is always a good thing, right? You can have a cookie and your body just metabolizes it, because for most of us, we want to eat. You want to have some fun, right? Get your body fat lower. You can eat something. Like some of us, we look at a cookie and we gain 3 pounds. Or you turn your body into a fat burning machine by operating your lean mass. This is where strength training comes in. So you burn more fat at rest. So yes, everyone's goal is as your lean mass goes up, your fat mass goes down and you get smaller. The example I always give people, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, so my water bottle is a good example. So if this represents the size of what 5 pounds of fat looks like on your body, the space it takes up, this would be what the amount of space 5 pounds of muscle takes up. So your weight might not be unchanged. We have tons of clients like this, but you get smaller. So, size 10, size 12, same weight, but a size 2. Yes, there we go. You got it. Sweet.
So though, do you eat protein, so you said 1 gram for every pound of lean, whatever it is?
Yep, so here's your
1
muscle,
gram
here's your
of
fat, yep. You just feel it, you want to pass this around, guys, like how much denser this one is than this? Like the weight, can you feel the weight difference? Yeah.
So do I eat, I'm wondering about the amount of grams of protein that I eat.
So,
Do I eat
your goal was
what I want?
your body, yes, correct. You eat what you want your lean body mass to be,
I see.
correct.
Not what it is.
So like people trying to cut weight, we really want to prioritize lean protein. So I do have wrestlers that I work with, and I try and get them to not cut massive muscle. I try to be healthier about it, and I'll even tell them you should not wrestle at X weight. This is the weight I think you should wrestle at. I actually work with Armstrong Wrestling, so they got a really good relationship with the coaches over there. And a lot of times when the kids are in cutting, I don't want them to just not eat, so we prioritize protein as the main ingredient and fiber, and I have cut their other carbs. So they're still eating a lot of vegetables, they're eating a lot of protein, and that's how we get their weight down versus going into a sweatsuit the way I used to do it and like try and sauna it all off. There are much better ways to do that. So, and I have gymnasts that are also weight aware. So, yeah. Questions also, that's a good protein question. Any questions about protein? About yourself, your athletes? Sweet. All right, Whole Foods. So, does anyone have a granola bar or bar with us? You did, you ate it? Was it delicious? I'm just looking for something with like an ingredient list on it. So, what he's looking for is granola bar wrapper. So list all the ingredients that come in a banana. So if we go ingredient list, perfect. These are actually really good for you. I like these. So we'll get a banana. What's in a banana? Like all the ingredients that go into a banana. Banana. I like you. Egg. Let's stop you. Egg. What's in an egg? All the ingredients that go into making an egg.
The chicken.
The chicken. Yeah. Broccoli. Cauliflower. I like this one, guys. These are the RX bars. I'm actually a big fan of this. Ingredients: dates, real food. Yup. Almonds, real food. Yup. Egg whites. Yup. Cherries. Yup. Chocolate, cocoa. Right. So they're all. It does contain eggs and nuts. It's good that they clarified that in the ingredient list of the warning thing. You guys know what I mean? Though, if you look up, if you pull up like ingredient for, let's say, just like a regular granola bar, there are going to be 5 or 6 ingredients. You're not going to be able to tell me what it is on that thing, right? So when we say whole foods, they're foods that don't need a nutritional panel because they are what they are. They don't require a nutritional panel. If you want to get an athlete like to really dial in, the more they can eat on the whole foods, like real, actual food, the better they're going to feel. They're going to be more in tune with their body. They're going to know when they're full, right? It is hard though, guys. Food, it's not cheap, right? You go to the grocery store, processed foods are way cheaper than eating fruits and vegetables, right? Way cheaper. Organic meat is way more expensive than non-organic meat. So to eat this way is hard, but if you or have a kid or a kid you coach, this stuff makes a massive difference. I'm not saying it's easy, and that's why we run this challenge usually last, but it is really fun to run with kids because it gets them reading labels and looking at foods in terms of processed or unprocessed. And some of this too, for some of the kids who don't come from a home that maybe is really big on eating healthy, or eating nutritious with their diet, this would be really eye-opening, like starting to read labels and, oh my God, coach, did you know there's 15 grams of sugar in Chobani Light? Yep, I knew that. Yeah, yep, it's all sugar, right? So that's only got 100 calories, this cracker cookie pack. Cool. And all 100 calories come from sugar, right? So getting them to be just aware of what they're putting in their body, it could be a really, really good challenge to run. I've got friends out in the school district that do health classes, and I told them this is one of the best ways to introduce kids to what real foods and whole foods are, is just getting them to read labels and how much of the diet comes from processed versus unprocessed foods. Carbohydrates. So this is going to be a really challenging one, and I'm going to spend a little more time on this. In terms of carbohydrates. So, a couple kind of rules. We want to be smart about the kind of carbs we're eating. We want to eat carbs based on our level of activity. And when we do eat carbs, we want to try to eat them with protein, avoiding processed foods, carbs, and shooting for whole grain forms of carbohydrates. So we'll go this way. So, for an example, somebody that sits at a desk all day long versus somebody who maybe, does anybody teach after gym class, like run up and down, your gym teacher? Okay, like you're moving like nonstop, right? So if you sat at a desk all day long, you would burn less calories than if you moved all day long. Okay, if you think of carbohydrates like gas, the gas example we use, the more you move, the more gas you need to put in the car. If I'm gonna drive from here to the football field, I think we're on a slight incline here. I could literally get in my car, hit neutral, and we glide into the football field. Now if we're gonna drive to Duluth though, we need to put more gas in the car. Does that make sense? So depending on the sport and the amount of time we spend training will dictate how much carbohydrates our body needs. Younger athletes typically need a lot more carbohydrates than the average population. Just like a more active person in an active job would need more carbs than somebody who had a sedentary job. Okay? So that's one piece. The other thing of this is, guys, is that the kinds of carbs that we eat, and this is the number one question I always get, like, how many carbs should I eat? Or how many calories should I eat? That's a really loaded question, because if I said I would like you to eat 1,600 calories a day, which I wouldn't tell you to do, but 1,600 calories a day, you and I could check out here. We could run over to Buffalo Wings, we each get 12 wings and a pitcher of beer, 1,600 calories, we nailed it. Did it. Nailed my calories for the day. Wrong kind of calories, right? So in terms of quality of carbohydrates, quality is more important than quantity, all right? When it comes to just regular people and athletes, one thing we're trying to do is we're trying to stabilize blood sugars. And I'm gonna take it from two different perspectives, okay? As an athlete, if my blood sugars are more stable, I feel better and I perform better because I don't have these huge ups and down crashes. That's one. If I'm an adult who's looking to cut my body fat, lose weight, okay? The higher my blood sugar is, the more I'm burning the carbs I'm eating versus the fat that I want to burn. Do we all agree a banana is nutritious? Does anyone disagree with me? No? Okay, so I go to work out in the morning. Before I go to work out, I eat a banana. I then get on the treadmill and I run for 30 minutes. What did I just burn? The banana. Okay? If I'm super lean, I might want to burn the banana because I don't want to burn my own lean muscle, which I would do if I didn't eat at all. So your level of leanness would dictate how much carbs you need based on the goals that you have. Does that make sense? The other biggest misconception with carbohydrates is that, and we changed this actually, Bob, I think you might have been part of that conversation. We talked to the volleyball team, and their diet going into meet weekends was to do a big pasta dinner on Friday night, right? Well, pasta is very low in fiber and high in white flour. So the way it affects your blood sugar is you get this big spike. And then at some point, your blood sugar has to come down. It doesn't come down to stable. Typically, you get this crash. I'm going to write this on the board and show you guys. But you get this crash, right? What I wanted was we switched it to black beans and brown rice with, I think we did Chipotle, because I knew it would give them more stable blood sugars, and they would feel better throughout the weekend. So here's what this looks like. And no matter what talk I give, if you ever come and listen to me talk, we're going to do kettlebells next. I'm going to try and work this into the kettlebell workout too. So if we're talking about in terms of blood sugar, guys, this is like stable blood sugars in here. I'm trying to move a little bit, okay? Stable is in here. I feel really good because my body is utilizing fat for fuel when my blood sugars are in that stable area. Does that make sense? I feel really good. I'm burning fat. And just a heads up, so you and I, at 3 to 4% body fat, we still have about 1,000 hours of fuel in our body. 2 to 3, so he's even less than me now. That's awesome. He's getting lower. You're getting more fit while you're here. Benefit at $60. I'll take that up in cash. So our body, we still have a ton of fat, fuel in our body, just in terms of the 2 to 3% body fat. We still have a lot of fuel in our body. If we carb load, we can only carb load for 2 hours, guys. So a marathon race lasts how long? Is it longer than 2 hours? A little bit. Just yours is probably like 2:30. Are you done? Yeah. Or 4, or what, give or take, right?
You never hit 4.
You never hit 4, okay. So wait, and you run. And so the rest of us would have no chance. We probably could drive it in 4 hours, I bet. But the rest, right, not gonna run it. So you better learn to burn fat. And I'll tell you right now, your most elite marathon runners are fat burning machines. They're not loading up carbs to go do their runs. They're already burning fat, and they figured this out a long time ago. Okay? So let's say I eat a banana, something with a lot of sugar in it, and low in fiber. So something high in sugar, low in fiber. My blood sugar goes up. Okay? I am not burning fat. My blood sugar at some point has to come back down. Makes me hungry. I go to a Subway, it goes back up, it drops back down. I need Diet Coke or a nap. Okay? So let's say the goal wasn't to be an elite athlete and you didn't want to lose weight, but what you really wanted to do was develop type 2 diabetes. Like that is your long-term, like you've always dreamed of having type 2 diabetes. I have the solution. Eat like a really high-carb breakfast, something that's low in fiber and high in sugar. Wait a couple hours for your blood sugar crash. Eat more carbs that are high in sugar, low in fiber, which will bring it back up here. And over time, this is basically your body becomes insulin resistant. And this is how you end up developing type 2 diabetes. Was that anyone's goal coming in? Because we just crushed it. It is. Nailed it. So as an athlete though, right? So as someone who's looking to maybe lose weight, higher fiber, more protein, we're going to be in here. Stable blood sugar is feeling good. Feeling good and low blood, and stable blood sugar is also important to athletes. Right? That's why I'm like dead set on I think my basketball players do not eat pizza in between games. You might feel great for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to feel awful as your blood sugar crashes. That is not rocket fuel. I'm not saying don't eat pizza ever. I'm just saying please don't eat it in between games. Right? And then, so just remember guys, the higher something is in fiber, the lower it is in sugar and the more stable your blood sugar is because of it. So when we turn tax in terms of carbs, I usually give people a list, like, hey, if you can give me 80 to 90% of your carbs coming from like brown rice, black beans, quinoa, sweet potatoes, berries and vegetables, I don't care what you do that 10% of the time, because I know we're gonna see results if you just do that. Questions? Carbs are really, it's really tricky because everybody's different, like so different. Anybody questions? Athletes, yourself, just theoretical carbohydrate questions? Yeah.
So you're saying they're eating a banana before you work out, so would you recommend working out, not eating before you work out?
It depends on what your goals are and your level of leanness. So I would say for a guy who's under 15% body fat, you're gonna need to eat something, because otherwise what ends up happening is the opposite. Your body actually will start to metabolize its own lean muscle for fuel, which we will see that as well. So I would say you definitely wanna eat something. I would say what you wanna eat before your workout though, is something that's not high in sugar. I like oatmeal and some kind of a protein source, because it's gonna keep you here. I'm not a big believer in spiking your insulin levels, except for after the workout, and there's a different reason for that. So as you spike, if you take a banana, let's say, we'll just use the banana example because we're on it anyway, so this gets a little deeper, but let's say I'm already pretty lean, I'm looking to try and build lean muscle. If you guys aren't familiar, people will actually, they test this in the Olympics, people will actually shoot up insulin after workouts, because when your blood sugar spikes, the protein gets into your cells faster when your insulin levels are higher. So if I was gonna eat a banana, it would be after my workout with protein, because my body would utilize it to replenish basically my cells. Does that make sense? So like it's tricky because like that when we talk about carbohydrates, it's so hard because it's not only just quality and quantity, it's timing is such a critical role in protein. Now let's say I was well above, let's say let's say you're not 2 to 3% body fat like us, you're more like 25% body fat or 30. I would tell you you're gonna probably wanna try and limit as much sugar as possible in your diet, and that's where maybe not eating any carbohydrates before. Because anytime you eat any carbohydrates, if your body fat is higher, your body is not as receptive to insulin as somebody who's leaner, and therefore no matter what you do, it's gonna spike your insulin. So I would say if you're gonna eat as a person looking to lose body fat, I would say proteins and fats only until after the workout, and then introduce carbohydrates. This gets even more complicated, but men and women are very, very different. The way men utilize carbohydrates is completely different than women. If you guys aren't aware, you have a friend or a spouse who just gives up pop and they drop 10 pounds, it's because guys utilize carbohydrates so much differently than women. Sorry.
Good question.
You're happy that you're a guy?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
I would like the 30 lead. But I coach football.
Yes.
So the kids, they got us for 3:05.
Yeah.
We leave at 4:15
Yeah.
for a game. We have 3 restaurants in our town. You know, how would you recommend these kids to eat before pregame meal before they go?
What are the 3 options?
Subway, McDonald's, Dairy Queen.
You know, Subway does have wraps that are like a little higher in fiber, that are not as high. I would say stay away from white bread. That's the problem too, is football's a long enough thing where your insulin will go up and doing. I like doing this on Chipotle. Chipotle is like my favorite, like brown rice, black beans, and a protein source. I would say probably the Subway would be your best option, and just load up with vegetables. It's probably your best option. Yeah. There's a lot of different bars. I really like these guys. These RX bars. They're really simple, really high in protein. That's one of my favorites as a go-to. So, but I'd say Subway's probably your guys' best bet. Definitely not McDonald's. And again, like the other thing too is, you know, when you're talking to athletes, you just gotta ask the guys like, what do you want to get out of this? Maybe they just enjoy playing football and they don't want to. I don't know. Maybe they're not trying to win. I don't know. I mean, every kid's different, but like they want to win. They want to feel their best, which is what you want. You want to fuel your body the best, right? As the coach, you want the kids to feel really good and perform really well. Hard to do that if you're eating McDonald's and Dairy Queen, right? Other questions? Carbohydrates?
Can you talk a little bit on how complex carbohydrates work against this regular, like a donut or something?
So complex carbohydrates, the ones that are higher in fiber, lower in sugar, your body will digest them at a slower rate of digestion. So it stabilizes your blood sugars. Instead of getting these big spikes like a donut, you don't get the spikes as your body digests. It takes longer to digest, so you don't get the spikes up and down. You also burn more calories digesting fiber and protein. So like, for example, if I were to eat a 100-calorie donut, it takes my body nothing. Simple shit. Do you guys ever wonder why when you're like really hungry you crave? Does ever crave sugar? Like you ever notice that? You never crave like you get hungry and go, God, I can really look for a chicken breast and broccoli, right? Your body knows that simple sugars are the fastest thing you can break down for fuel. So that's what your body craves when you're under eating or not eating enough, right? So when I eat a donut, or if I eat a donut, it takes nothing to absorb that. I don't burn any calories digesting a donut. With protein and fiber though, you actually burn about 25% of those calories in digestion. So if I had a 100 calorie donut and I eat that, all 100 calories would go against my calorie count for the day. By eating proteins and fibers, complex carbohydrates, only about 75 of those calories. That's why people can eat massive amounts of protein and good, brown rice, black beans, huge amounts. They don't seem to gain weight. It's because their blood sugars aren't affected and they're digesting more of those calories in digestion. They're burning more of those calories in digestion than they would if they were eating a donut. Is that kind of, and that goes for it doesn't matter, that's everybody, that's all humans together. In terms of how it affects your blood sugars. And then the feeling, right? When my blood sugar goes up, I feel the donut tastes awesome for like 5 minutes, and then it's like, I'm getting really tired. Is your blood sugar coming down and up and down? That's a good question. Anybody else on the carbohydrate thing at all? It's probably, again, this is the one we spend probably when I talk to athletes or clients, this is the one we end up, the biggest area of confusion is, what's 100 calories? What difference does it make? Well, not all 100 calories are exactly the same. That's the flaw in the calorie thing works. Or the Weight Watcher point system. Like, hey, cheesecake's 10 points. Yeah. If you eat it right before bed though, what do you think happens? If you have to eat cheesecake, like you cannot give it up. Post workout would be the best time to eat your cheesecake, by the way. All right, fats. So this I don't have to worry about as much, but like even when I got going as a trainer, I still have older clients that were big on a low-fat diet. It's important to understand that fats actually lubricate your joints, fuel your brain. Your body needs some fat. Now the amount of fat men and women need is different in terms of what your body does with it, but you should have fat in your diet. Fats from things like almond oil, nuts and seeds, flaxseed oil, macadamia nut oil, virgin oil. One thing I do kind of always throw out for fats is that when you heat olive oil, it goes from being a good fat to a bad fat, and some people don't realize that. So you're cooking, you cook it first, then you put olive oil on it. You don't heat olive oil. You shouldn't be cooking with olive oil. Coconut oil you can cook with. That actually does with a lot of high heat, but not olive oil.
You said it one time.
Don't heat olive oil. Don't add
Heat
heat.
it first.
Don't heat it olive oil. Make your food first, then put the olive oil on it. Yeah. Otherwise it turns into a non-healthy fat. Yeah. Fun fact.
What's pasture, what is that?
Pasteurized butter.
Yeah, what is that?
Just butter, organic butter.
Oh. Like Kerrygold, is that?
All right, fiber. I don't know, every time I laugh now. So fiber is really important for digestion, guys. You do need, here's the interesting thing about fiber. To break down the protein that we talked about earlier, you do have to get an adequate amount of fiber. For kids, it's somewhere around 20 grams a day. For adults, it's around 30 to 35. Without fiber, you can't digest a lot of the foods that you're eating. So people on a high protein diet that don't get enough fiber feel really distended, like really bloated. The thing you don't want to do is if you're eating no fiber, to then just jump to 35. If you're gonna do that, you might want to take a couple days off of work and hang around home for a little while. So, I always laugh now when I teach this because I was in a group of volleyball players from this school, and it was like 9th to 12th grade. And I never know what I'm gonna get when I come talk to kids. I'm always like, are they just gonna stare at me? Will they ask questions? Usually there's this one kid there that's really into performance, and so they'll look at me and nod their head, and so I kind of talk more to that kid, or I'll try and talk. And so there's a group of girls, and I'm a guy, and I'm talking to the girls, and one of the girls goes, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go, how much should I poop a day? I'm like, wow, that's not the question I expected to get from a group of teenage girls. So we had lots of questions, and there was nothing off limits. It's still to this day, my favorite talk I've ever given, because they were there was no questions that were off limits, which just makes me laugh, which I know we're talking about fiber.
How many times you poop?
Yeah. I both. Yeah. Which again, teenage girl asking 40-year-old guy. I just thought it was funny. I was like, I did not. We can go there, but I did not expect. Yeah. So fiber, though, guys, really important part of digestion. One thing you'll find is those complete carbohydrates and the vegetables. You do that, you actually hit your fiber intake. If you don't do that, then you aren't. And I would say, when I look at clients, a lot of times they'll tell me, hey, I hit, hey, how many grams of carbs should I eat? So everyone wants to know how many grams. I'm like, well, when you start with 200, let's see how your body responds. And so we look, just I did 200 grams of carbs, I did my protein, I did my fat, and like nothing happened. I look, and it's like 5 grams of fiber, because the rest of it was all like the processed kinds of carbohydrates. I'm like, well, like your biggest issue here is you're not digesting the foods you're eating because you're not getting fiber. We add the fiber back into her diet, and she dropped 7 pounds in 2 weeks. I mean, it makes that big of a difference because it tells me the quality of the foods you're eating in terms of carbohydrates, because of how it affects digestion. So this might be something we talk with kids about, but it's why we talk about whole foods, and it's why we talk about vegetables, and it's why we talk about eating berries, because of this is what I'm trying. This is the end result I'm trying to get by making recommendations on diet, but this is the why. I wanted to talk a little bit about the tracking thing, and then we'll talk a little bit, we got like 6 minutes, and then talk a little about supplementation. So tracking, we did not obviously track with any of our younger athletes, and very rarely do we ever track. However, I will say this, there are times where kids will say, you know, I'm trying to gain muscle, and we have a way of measuring that, or getting stronger, and they're not getting stronger, like I'm eating really good. The one problem is like your really good and my really good are probably very, very different. And my really, really good, your really good are different. We'll just go there. And a lot of times when you tell me I'm eating really, really well, you know, somebody asked me one time, like, I'm not losing weight, why do you think it is? And I go, well, it's either you're not eating enough calories, which is too many calories, not enough protein or too much protein, not enough fiber, too much fiber, not enough carbs, too much carbs, not enough fat, too much fat, or timing. Like, oh, like, so it's any one of those things. The only way I'm gonna know is if I give you guys a journal for a day, and then I can kind of give you my more in-depth analysis. Otherwise, it's very hard to, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, there's so many different possibilities as to why results might not be happening. So we will occasionally have people, especially, you know, adult clients or even kids. I'm like, you know, how do you think I'm eating? And I'm like, well, write it down. Show me what you're doing today, and I'll give you some suggestions. You know, and usually it's even some like the simple things, like I'm having 1 egg for breakfast. Could you do 3? Yeah, I can do that. Let's try 3 then. You know, so it's sometimes simple things, but if I don't know what you're doing, I can't give you any advice other than to have you tried eating better. You know, I mean, that's about the only thing I can tell you. You do need to be careful though too, guys. Like, we have a lot of female athletes. I'm very cognizant of body image, and that's why I told you guys the all bodies comes in all shapes and sizes. You know, we're talking about building lean muscle. You gotta be very careful. I'd say even when I've been doing this for a while, a long time, I see more body image issues now with boys too than I ever did when I first started. That's becoming much more prevalent. So that is something to talk about. Healthy bodies, being strong, doesn't necessarily mean weight loss, right? Multivitamins. So, you know, the hard part with multivitamins is that it's a very personal choice for a lot of people and how strongly they feel about things. I will just kind of give you my general insights on things that I think are pretty tame. I think, you know, I'm sure you and I, because we're 3% body fat, get the 9 servings of vegetables, I don't doubt it. But for these guys, the ones that aren't us, not getting 9 servings of vegetables, a multivitamin might help you as your like insurance plan until you can work your way up to the 9 servings of vegetables. So a multivitamin can really be a nice safety net. Fish oils are really great anti-inflammatory. To get the same amount of fish oil you would need from fish, if you love fish, you would need to eat a can of sardines every day. That's gross. So I don't like sardines. So that fish oil is just a nice anti-inflammatory. You get kids on strength training programs, fish oils just help with inflammation. Everybody gets inflammation. If your body's inflamed, it's not functioning properly, it means you're probably not gaining muscle or losing weight. Protein powder, you know, that's one of those where that's a simple way to get protein. My boys do a lot of I'm doing the same thing. So I leave from here, I go coach baseball for 2.5 hours, and then I go someplace. I had to bring protein powder with me. There was no way I was gonna make it 14, 15 hour day without having some kind of a powder with me that I can go to. So if that's easy for you to get your protein in, awesome. Again, there's all kinds of protein. There's vegan protein. I always get questions about what's the best kind of protein powder? The one that you'll eat. If it's one that's super quality and you hate the taste of it, you're not gonna eat it, not that helpful, right? The last one I'm kind of going to, guys, is BCAAs. I am a really big believer, especially with some of our older athletes. My boys are 12 and 13, we do BCAAs. And the reason is because when you're exercising a lot, when I say a lot, you know, practicing 2-3 hours a day, your body, I don't care how many calories you're getting, your body is breaking down more muscle than you could possibly rebuild through nutrition. So the really cool thing about BCAAs, and they were discovered about 15 years ago, actually a lot with gymnasts, is that when you take BCAAs, so the simple fact that here, the rate of synthesis exceeds the rate of breakdown, you gain muscle. If the rate of breakdown exceeds the rate of synthesis, you lose muscle. Protein, or BCAAs are really cool. They actually prevent muscle breakdown during long bouts of exercise. So exercise that lasts longer than 1 hour, or super intense exercise of an hour or longer, right? And when you take them right before your workout and then you eat protein afterwards, the protein actually gets back into your cells faster when you're on BCAAs than it would if you didn't take BCAAs. So it does the two things. It prevents muscle breakdown, and when you eat protein, it helps it's almost like doing a bunch of insulin. It actually helps the protein get to your cells faster. It is a really cool, super safe, thing that it actually occurs in foods. You get BCAAs in foods. BCAAs in supplement form, though, is already pre-broken down, so your body absorbs them even faster than if you were doing it in your food. So in terms of athletes, yes.
Well, you can finish, but I was gonna go to, okay, what about pre-workouts then for people?
Oh yeah, that one I'm not a fan. Pre-workout's different than BCAAs. There are BCAAs in pre-workouts. I am not a fan of anything that has
Strict
5 to
BCAAs.
1,000%. Yes, strict BCAAs. Anything that has 500% of your vitamin B and gets your fingers to tingle, not a fan of. If you want to do a little bit of caffeine, a cup of coffee or something, that's fine. But a lot of those pre-workouts are 3-4 cups of coffee in the pre-workout with the BCAAs. So that I'm not a fan of. Anything that, gets your heart racing to that rate, I'm not a fan. So yeah, when I talk about BCAAs, it would just be the BCAAs. And there are a lot of BCAAs that are just plain. We sell one out of our gym that's just BCAAs. So
Do you have any suggestion on brand name?
we use Catalyst in ours, so I do AdvoCare because it was a lot of it, I liked it because I took it to college, I enjoyed it, it was a quality product, and we have a lot of NCAA athletes. The way I used to have to do things, I used to have to call a 1-800 number and ask about a supplement, and then I'd have to mail in the label, and then 6 to 8 weeks later, they would mail me back a yes or a no that I could give to my client. Now, they're all the products they carry are NCAA approved, so I don't have to worry about it. So you can find other stuff that when we have a lot out, I do very, very careful because there's qualification issues with taking supplements that I'm comfortable with what we take. I can't speak to other stuff, I guess is what I'd say. And there's no governing body on a lot of supplements, so you can get other things in your supplements that you shouldn't have in your body as an NCAA athlete. So we are really careful with that stuff. So guys, just actually we're running out of time.